Hi, I'm David Phillips. I worked with Flinders University and Horses A to develop the 3 web apps for the Kidman Trail. The first is a simple trail navigation web app that the public can use to help them navigate the trail. The second is a web app which lets the public report problems with the trail that they encounter. So it might be a damaged direction marker or an area of flooding on the trail or something like that. And the third web app is an interactive map that Horses A can use to manage the assets along the trail. In this video, I'll go through the 3 web apps, I'll show you what they can do, and I'll give you some brief instructions on how to use them. First of all, you don't need to download and install these web apps like you would with a normal computer program or an Android app. They operate entirely in your browser, so all you need to do is go to the right website and it will show on any device. This means Windows, Mac, Android, iPhone, iPads. So let's get started. This is the website you need to come to start off accessing the public web apps. The Kidman Trail website on the Horses A website. The URL is up here. And because this is a public-facing website, we only have the public-facing web apps linked to on here. So here's the Kidman Trail information map that the public can use to navigate the trail, and the Report a Problem web app. So let's jump into the Kidman Trail. Let's start off with the Report a Problem one, actually. So I've already got it loaded up here. So we get to the website, Report a Problem. Thank you for supporting the Kidman Trail. You can use the form below to report a trail problem. If you choose to leave contact details, we may contact you for more information. So if I wanted to report a problem, I would scroll down, I'd put in the type of problem. So I might say damaged asset, and I can give some further details. Direction marker knocked over. I can put in contact name and number and an email. I won't put it in for now. Then you need to select the location of the problem you want to report. You can see it took a while to load the trail line there. So let's zoom in. So I'm just zooming in using my mouse wheel here. And once you've found the location that you want to report the trail problem at, all you need to do is click it. So because I'm reporting this problem on a computer, I need to click the location. But if I had loaded up this web app on a phone or a tablet when I was actually walking the trail itself, I could use the device's GPS to give the location, and there'd be a button here that would allow me to do that. I can actually do it on a computer as well, but if I use this button here to do it, it'll jump to wherever your computer is, which is not on the trail, obviously. So great, we'll leave that there. We'll say submit entry. And there we go. The problem has been submitted to Horses A. So let's move on to the next web app. This is the Kidman Trail information map. Very simple web app that helps the public navigate the trail. So they could use it at home on a computer like I am at the moment, and they could plan their journey using it. Or they could once again load it up on a phone or tablet while they're walking the trail and use it to navigate. They would just have to make sure they're in an area of the trail that has phone reception, which from my experience is about 70% of the trail. So just like before, you can move around the trail, zoom in, see some more detail. You'll note when you zoom in, the public can start to see the location of some assets like gates, stepovers here. If we zoom in even further, they can even see the location of direction markers, which will just help them find their location. If they click on a trailhead, they can see what facilities are available there. So the Jack's Paddock one here has horse yards, water, camping facilities, trailer parking, etc., and some picnic tables and chairs. If someone came to this website and they got a bit confused with all of these different symbols, there's a legend up here at the top right, which explains what all of the symbols mean. And you'll note here that the public can actually see problems which have been reported with the trail. So let's go have a look at a reported problem. This is the one I reported just before. So if I click on it, I can see that at this part of the trail there's a damaged asset, a direction marker's been knocked over. So in this case, it's not a huge amount of use to me, but if there was a large section of the trail that was flooded, for example, or a bridge was broken, the public would be able to see that before they go out and get to that problem. It would be some warning for them. So let's close the legend there. We also have a couple of other buttons up here. This one is a layer list, so the public can turn on and off different layers. So they might decide they don't want to see the let's say the stepovers and the gates. They can turn them off. If we go in further, they can turn off the direction markers as well, and turn back on whatever they want. You'll notice that the some of the assets only appear when you zoom in a certain way. For example, the direction markers, if I zoom out, they will disappear. And that's simply because if we showed all of them when you're zoomed out, the trail would just appear as a big smush of direction markers from start to finish. Last but not least, we have another button up here that's a base map selector. So a base map is basically what appears underneath the trail. So you can see we've got the default topographic base map on at the moment. We can also change to OpenStreetMap, which is a bit like an open source version of Google Maps, which is really nice. Or we can use Microsoft's Bing imagery. Very useful for navigation again. So let's let's move on from the public web apps and move on to the Assets Administrator web app that's restricted to access by Horse SA. To log into this web app, you need to go to this website here, flindersuni.maps.arcgis.com, and that will bring you to this page here, where you can click sign in, and here we'll put in Horse SA and the password. The password will be provided to you from whoever's introducing you to the web app. So we've now logged in. You can see that up the top right hand side here, it doesn't say login anymore. It says that we're logged in as Horse SA. So to get to the web app, you need to click on this link here, Groups. And then we go into the Horse SA Editors group. And then we've got these two items here. This is the Assets Administrator web app that we're interested in. So I'll click on that. Okay, so here we go. This is the Assets Administrator web app. As you can see, it looks a lot like the the public navigation map that I showed you just before, but this one has a bit more functionality that's only available to Horse SA. So just like before, we can pan and zoom in and out. We can find our location using the little crosshair button here. I won't do it for now. And we can zoom out to the default extent, which is the whole trail. So let's zoom in and have a look at some of the things on the trail here. Excuse me, I'll just get some water. Much better. My voice is packing up on me here. Okay, so if we click on the Chunga trailhead, you'll see that we now have a lot more information than we did before. And there's also attachments which are photos. And we have photos for every trailhead, every asset on the trail. And to view them, you just click on them and it opens it up in a new tab. Let's have a look at an asset here. Let's go further up and look at Mount Pleasant. So here we have 2 reported problems at Mount Pleasant. And you can see there's a problem here that they're overlapped at the moment. So if I want to click on one of these, I'll click the first one. Okay, and it's selected the one on top. So if I wanted to select the problem underneath the top one, I can actually cycle through using this button here. So you can see there's 3 features at the location where I clicked. This is the first one of 3. So if I click this arrow here, it's taken me to the second feature, which is the trail line, this section of the trail. And if I click right again, it's taken me to the third feature, which is the reported problem underneath the first one. So that's a useful tip to remember if you have 2 features which are so close that they appear with their icons on top of each other. Let's zoom out and have a look at these colors for the reported problems. So you remember if we have a look at our legend here, an asterisk symbol means a reported problem, and we've colorized them here by whether they've been fixed yet or not. So if a problem is freshly reported, it appears as red. Once Horse SA has seen the problem that has been reported and they've dispatched someone to fix it, or perhaps they're waiting on some materials to be delivered to get it fixed, they can change the status of the problem to in progress, which appears as orange. And once the problem has been fixed, they can change it to resolved, which is green. Once Horse SA change the status of a problem to resolved, it no longer appears on the public version of the web map. So the trail navigation map before would no longer show these reported problems here because they're not relevant to the public anymore. So let's have a look at some more of the buttons we've got up the top here in the Assets Administrator web app. Just like before, we have the layer list. So I could turn off reported problems and I could turn on direction markers. And once again, you'll see that for Horse SA, we've applied a color scheme to the direction markers just to help them, to help Horse SA at a glance see which ones need attention. So let's close this for a sec and go back to our legend. Now that we've turned on the direction marker layer, you can see what these different color symbols mean. So a green symbol means it's a functioning direction marker. A red symbol means the direction marker has major problems. So let's zoom in on this one and have a look. What's wrong with it? Could use another plate for people heading towards Kapunda. The trail enters an open field here. So this one only has a direction plate on one side, and someone suggested, I think it was me, yeah, when I added this asset, I recorded the fact that it's only got a direction plate on one side of the post, and it could use one on the other side as well, because it's a bit confusing approaching from that side. So you'll see an asset with minor problems is coloured as orange, a missing one's black, and a blue means it's of condition other. So if it doesn't fit into one of these categories, you can always label an asset as other. And that's the same whether it's for direction markers, gates, or stepovers. If we turn them on, you'll see that they obey the same colour scheme. So how do we actually change a reported problem from reported to in progress to completed? Or how do we change an asset from functioning to major problems, for example? Well, if we want to do that, we can click on this tab up here, which is the Edit tab. So now that we have this Edit tab open, we go into Edit mode, and when we click on an asset, let's say this gate here, you'll note that all of these information fields become editable, and we can change them. So I might say this gate, say someone reported a problem here and they say this gate's no longer working. I could change the condition to major problems, and that would highlight that that gate is no longer working. And I could put in a comment here. I could delete the previous comment and type in the gate doesn't work anymore. But I won't do that for now. I'll leave it as functioning. Let's have a look at doing that for a reported problem as well. So I'll have to, if I want to edit a reported problem, first of all I have to go into the layer list and make sure that the reported problems layer is turned on. Then I go back into edit mode and I click on a reported problem here. Let's say that this one, we've sent someone out, we've fixed it, and now we can change the problem status from in progress to completed. So it turns green, and that shows that it's no longer a problem anymore. So all I'd need to do is hit the X and that would be done. But for now I'll just leave it as in progress. Let's go turn off the reported problems, turn on the direction markers, and let's say I want to add a new direction marker because we've recently installed one. Once again, I'd go to the Edit tab here, and you can see I can add a direction marker of any condition. I can add one that's functioning, add one with minor problems, major problems. So we'd assume that when we install a new one it's functioning, so let's click on this one. And you see it's highlighted. And now when I click on the location on the trail, it will add that new direction marker. So here we go. I've got my new direction marker, it's functioning. I can fill in some lifespan values if I like. The number of plates, so if it had 3 direction plates instead of 2, I'd change that to 3. I can put in the direction of the direction plates. This is the orientation, so it'll be between 0 and 360. I can select the mount type, so it might be post, or maybe it's a gate post which just has 2 direction plates bolted onto it, or a step over post. And I can fill out if the direction marker is shared with any other trails. So if it's shared, for example, with the Hyson Trail, I'd select this one and say yes. I could also add an attachment. to the new asset. So here I just click on that and I can browse to my photo. Or if I was adding this on a smartphone, I'd be able to take a picture. So then we hit the X and we're done. We've added that new asset. So let's say I want to delete an asset, for example this one. All I need to do is click on it while we're in edit mode and then hit the delete button down the bottom here. And that asset's gone. Okay, that covers editing. We've also got another button up here, which is a measurement tool. So let's say that I want to find out how far it is, for example, from this section of the trail to the highway there. So all I need to do is hit the ruler button, which I've done up there, and then start clicking along the trail where I want to measure. And then I double click to finish the line. And you can see that from here to here is 2.83 kilometers. So let's close that down, get rid of that line. We'll go back into the measurement tab again. And you'll also see we have this button here. This is a location measurement tool. So let's give an example of when we might use this tool. Let's turn off direction markers, turn on reported problems. And we'll go down to the reported problem that we made earlier. Here it is, damaged asset, direction marker knocked over, reported by David Phillips. And let's say we're going to send out a field crew to repair that damaged asset and they want some GPS coordinates because they prefer to use their own handheld GPS for navigation, for example. So we could go into the measurement tab here, click on the location measurer, and then click on the location we want coordinates for, and this little green tab appears. And we can see that for this little green tab, we have coordinates here, longitude and latitude, and they're in decimal degrees. So if you need to convert them to degrees, minutes and seconds, you could always use there's a million websites that can do that for you. But any handheld GPS should be able to accept decimal degrees. And finally, just like before, we have the base map selector with the same three base maps, the topographic, the OpenStreetMap base map, and the Bing imagery base map. I'm just going to leave it on the topographic one for now. Another really powerful aspect of this web app is the fact that you can view what's called an attribute table for the data. So to show you what I mean, let's turn back on, we'll turn off reported problems, and we'll turn on the gates layer. So here you can see that we have lots and lots of gates along the trail. And all of those gates have information like their condition, their value, their lifespan. At the moment we have to go through and we have to click on each one individually to see that information. And we might find ourselves in a situation where it's easier to view that information as a table. So if we click this little arrow down the bottom here, we bring up the attribute table viewer. This looks very complicated, but it's not that hard once you get your head around it. So we have tabs across the top here, so we can see the table for any layer. So let's stick with the gate one. So we can see there are the columns here: condition, value, lifespan, orientation, swing, and comments. So each row in this table refers to one gate in the field. So if we click on this one, we selected that one. or if we double click on any row in this table, we'll zoom to which gate that refers to. So this one here refers to that gate there. If I go down, let's have a look at this gate here. This gate has minor drag when you open it because weeds are growing underneath it. If we double click on that, the map will pan to where that gate is. So this might be useful if we wanted to very quickly find all the gates that have major or minor problems. So if we click on the condition field at the top here, this little arrow appears, and now all of the rows are sorted according to their condition. So at the top of the table here we've got all the functioning ones, and if we scroll down even further, we get to the gates that have problems. So major problems, and there's a few with minor problems. If I hold down Shift and then click, I can select multiple gates at once. You see they're all blue. And then once they're selected, if I hit Zoom to, I can zoom out and the map will highlight all of the gates that have those problems. So that's an example of how to use the table on gates. We can also do it for stepovers. The reported problems all appear in here as well. So you can quickly see who's reported the problems. Here's another good one to show. This option here, filter by map extent. Let's go back to gates again. And this list currently shows all of the gates for the entire Kidman Trail. But let's say I zoomed in to, I'll just clear my selection here. Let's just say I wanted to see only the gates in the top section of the trail. So I panned the map up so I can only see the top section here. Then I can say Options, Filter by map extent, and it will load for a sec. And now it's only showing me the gates that appear in this section of the trail. So if I wanted to zoom in even further, just to this part here, this little cluster of gates, you'll see that the map only shows me the gates in this area. The table, sorry, only shows me the gates in this area. So these five, sorry, are listed down here. So let's turn that off for now and go back to viewing all of the gates. And let's say this is very useful information, but I want to report on these assets for whatever reason, and I want this data out of the browser and onto my computer in an Excel spreadsheet. We can do that as well, whether it's for reported problems or gates or stepovers. Let's take the direction markers, for example. We'll go Options, Export to CSV, Export data to CSV file, hit OK. And then we have our CSV file here. So my computer's set up to open a CSV in Excel automatically, but this might not always happen for you. So if it doesn't work for you, I'll just show you the way to get it into Excel manually. Let's download it again. So we've got our downloaded file here. Direction marker 1 CSV. I'll minimize this for now. We'll bring up Microsoft Excel. So we'll go Open. No, we'll go a different way this way. We'll go Data. God, I have to remember where this is. Data from text. This is where it is. Okay, so mine's in desktop. Here it is, direction marker 1 CSV, open. And it brings up this import wizard here. So all you need to do is click on delimited here and hit next. And then we'll untick tab and we tick comma, and it recognizes our columns here. A CSV is a comma separated value file. So all it is a text file that uses commas to represent the columns in a table. So here we're just telling it to use commas, not tabs. And then we hit next, and then we hit finish. If you have the latest version of Excel, you'll also get this last little input dialog box here. Just hit OK. And there we go. We've got the data brought into Excel. So you can see here we have all the same fields that we had before. So the condition of the direction marker, its value, its lifespan, the number of direction plates it has. But you'll also very quickly notice that a lot of the values for these fields are simply not coming through. And this is a bug to do with one of the features that we use to set up the database not being compatible with the web mapping service that we use to generate the web apps. I'm hoping that a few months down the track they'll sort this bug out and we won't have to face this problem anymore. But for now it's something that we just have to live with. It's also the same reason that when you view the attribute tables in here, in the web apps, that some of the values appear simply as numbers rather than what they should be, which, for example, here is the direction marker shared with the Kidman Trail. It should be a yes or no, but it's appearing as a 1 or a 0. One last thing I wanted to go through before we finished up the video was how to load up the Assets Administrator web app on a mobile device. That might be useful if you have a reported problem and you want to take an iPad out with you in the field to navigate to it, and then when you get to the problem and you fix it, you could straight away change that problem from reported to in progress to completed, so it no longer appears on the public version of the web map. So I'll minimize this, and I've taken some screenshots from loading up the Assets Administrator web app on a phone. So this will run us through the steps that you need to go through. First of all, just like before, we go to flindersuni.maps.arcgis.com on your phone, tablet, iPad, whatever it is. And that will take you to this website here. All you need to do is hit the sign in button, and then you'll put in HorseSA and your password. And that will take you to the Flinders University ArcGIS Online homepage. This is where we'd normally we would normally click on the Groups tab on the computer to go into the HorseSA Editors group. But you'll see there's no Groups button here on the mobile version of the website. So if you click on this button down here, Full Site, it will actually load up the whole normal web page that you'd see on a computer on your mobile device. And once you do that, you've got the Groups tab here that you can press. So once you press the Groups tab, it takes you to this page again, just like on the computer. Click on HorseSA, or press HorseSA Editors, and it'll take you to this page, and you press the Kidman Trail Assets Administrator, and that will take you to this page, and then you just hit Open, and you'll see the web app comes up with all the same functionality as it did on the computer, but on your mobile device. So you can see on a phone screen, it's a lot of functionality to cram into a small screen. So I'd recommend, if you are going to do this, to use this web app on a mobile device, a tablet or an iPad is usually a bit better, but you can do it on a phone screen. You'll notice that there's a button here on the left-hand side of the screen which gives you your GPS location from your phone. So if you're navigating to a trail problem, that can be very helpful. So let's say we've zoomed in on a reported problem on the mobile version of this web app, and we want to have a look at the details of that problem. So we press it with our finger, and on a computer we'd normally get the pop-up full of information about the reported problem at this point. But because the web app's displayed on a smaller screen now, it doesn't try to fit that pop-up on the screen. It just gives you this little information tab here, and if you click on this arrow that points to the right, it will actually load up all of the information about that reported problem. Or if it's an asset, it'll load up all of the information about the asset. And once you're finished looking at that information, just hit the X button back here and you'll return back to the map. So let's go back a couple. You'll note that we've still got the same buttons up here. And if we click on the base map selector button and bring up the base map tab, you'll see that it now takes up the whole screen. And once again, it's just because we can't fit it on the small screen without taking up the whole screen. So you can choose your base map that you want. So you just press the Bing Hybrid, for example, and then press the X button. And when you go back to the map, it would be showing Bing Hybrid imagery. But what about the Edit tab? You'll remember that from before, if we wanted to stay in edit mode, we had to leave this Edit tab open. And that's a problem, because if the Edit tab takes up the whole screen, we can't click on assets to view and edit their details. So in this case, what you need to do is hit this little arrow down button here, and it will minimize the Edit tab to the bottom of the screen. So we're still in edit mode. We've still got that Edit tab open there, and we're in edit mode, so we can click on any of these reported problems or any assets, and we can edit their values. And then when we're finished in edit mode, we can hit the X button here, and it will get rid of this edit bar at the bottom entirely, and will no longer be in edit mode. If we go back a picture here, when we're in edit, when you have this edit tab maximized, you have all the same buttons here for adding new features. So if you want to add a new trailhead, click on there, and then you'll be able to add it to the map. So here we have an example. I put this picture in as an example. While we're in edit mode, I've pressed on an asset here. No, a reported problem it is, and this one's flooding. So if I wanted to, I could change this from completed, from reported to completed. In this case, it's already completed. And that's it. I hope you find all three of the web apps very useful in managing the trail. And if you ever are having serious problems and you'd like to contact me, my email is davidphillips44@gmail.com. David Phillips 44 is all one word. So yeah, best of luck, and feel free to get in touch if you have any problems. Thank you.